me, everybody, because somewhere along the line, right, I'm thinking that everybody can see me now. Right, can everybody see me? Oh my God. Right, okay, it's all new. Everything's new. And I have no idea what a palaver this has been again. Right, okay, so that's all on. Right, okay, hi everybody. I'm trying as best as I can to get over this. Right, is the sound okay? God, I'm all flustered. I thought it was just going to be push the button and here we go again. No, there's more things you have to press and it has to go somewhere else, and oh my God, it's just ridiculous. The microphone is perfect, sounds great. Florentine, hi everybody. Hi Chris, good afternoon. Hypnicity, Julian Mondi, Leon Helen. Right, I can see all your texts now, so this is absolutely amazing. So if I can just see if I'm supposed to be able to move them, but that's okay there. Right, okay, now I put into the search word thing that I was going to talk about channeling and automatic writing. So I don't know how many of you have tried to channel. You can channel a spirit, you can channel Archangel Michael if you like, or you can channel Jesus, or you can channel one of your parents. But what I love is about channeling the self. For me, I think that's the ultimate, is to be able to channel oneself. And if you can do that, that's when you start to understand yourself in a completely different way. For me, it started off with a lot of complaints. You know, I never thought I would start writing. I wasn't interested in writing at all. And I started writing down my questions about why was I going through what I was going through, why was I feeling in a certain way. So basically I was venting. I was putting down my problems and trying to use my logical mind to try and help me out, try and tell me some sort of guidance. But of course it's very difficult, isn't it? Because when you're in the mindset of totally crucifying yourself, really, because that's what you're doing, you're not really quite sure what to say or how to answer because you're completely lost. But there is an energy. And when I was doing the writing, I used to put the question. Now, I've said this many times before, but tonight I thought we'd just kind of keep it as that. You put your question and just let it sit. Let it simmer, as I always say. Let it simmer. And then just kind of wait. And I used to feel this energy presence used to take over me. It seemed to engulf me. Basically what happens is that your energy starts to change. Now, changing energy, the more sensitive you become to your soul, the more your energy picks up on a very subtle level and strong levels, because now you're starting to understand the power of energy. So when you start to understand who is your energy, and you start to understand who you are in a vibration, then you start to know how you work. Basically, you start to know how you tick. But when something steps close, there's a change in energy. It's a different energy. And you know it's not your energy. Now, it could be one of your parents trying to get hold of you. You'll feel your energy change. Wherever you go, whether you're on a bus, whether you're going to work, whether you're at the shops, energy is always fluctuating all over the place because we are energy beings. That's be me, body, mind and energy. So your energy is affecting your mind and your mind affects your body. That, to me, is the Trinity. So you kind of almost don't sort of make something happen, But just allow, I think that's the right word, just allow something to happen. And then just let your hand start guiding, start working, start writing, and try not to really pay too much attention about what it is that you are writing, but just let it flow. But you want to sense a feeling of it not being you. The question is you, but you want the answer to come from something or someone that's not you. And that's exactly how it feels. It's the same with channeling. When I was channeling, well, there's no you. You're just totally out of the room. It's totally disappeared. And so therefore there is this energy, vibration, entity that can speak through you. Now, I didn't know that was even possible. Not for me anyway. I know people do it, but I just didn't really know if it was truly possible for someone as simple as me, really, just a normal guy. And so therefore, what you're trying to do is that you're trying to want to connect into your own soul. You want to try and connect into your own feelings. This is the best way that I find. Become your best mate. Best mate ever. Be me. Every time I do that, you know it's be me, don't you? Become your best mate ever. Becoming best mate ever. And you... Oh, right. What's gone on there? Where have we gone? Have we dropped out here? I think we might have dropped out, people. Let's have a little look of what has gone on. Have we dropped out? Right, did we just drop out there? We might have just dropped out. Yeah, we did. But can everybody still hear me? I'm hoping that everyone can hear me. Right. Right, I'm back on. Dropped out for some reason. Something else that needs to be set up. Have no audio, no visual. Okay. Am I back? Am I back? Yes, right, okay. Right at the important part as well. See, you wasn't meant to know. I wasn't meant to share this gift. So, okay, so this little program seems to want to drop out on me, does it? Okay, we'll have to try and work out why that is doing that. Did you hear the bit about becoming your best mate? Be your best friend. So when you're channeling and you want to connect into your own soul, you want to become your best mate. The best way I can say it again is a different way like this. Say if you're having a lot of problems, you're dealing with some stuff that you are giving yourself a hard time. There's a knock on the door and you answer the door and it's you that's standing at the door. And that you wants some advice. So you allow them in. Now, are you going to give them the advice that you're putting yourself through, which means you don't actually have any advice at this moment? Or would you be the type of person that would drop everything about you to one side and then start to that person, talk to that person and give some advice or listening here, you know, something of comfort, and you would give us some great guidance, right? You would do that. I think most people will do that. That's what you've got to become. That's like talking to your higher self. And that's like talking to your lower self. It's your lower self that's at the door. It's your lower self that wants some guidance. But that lower self allows you to become your higher self. So when you talk to somebody about helping them out, listening, what to do about the situation, you can give some really good information. That's how you start to do automatic writing. That's how you start to channel. You want to get into connection with your own intelligence. And you're going to talk to yourself not like an idiot, not like how we put ourselves down, because putting yourself down, That technically is talking to yourself like an idiot. It's actually self-abuse, believe it or not. It's self-abuse when we put ourselves down, that we feel that we're useless, we feel that we have no confidence, whatever it is that you feel is a negative complaint about yourself, that is that's self-abuse. Because if you was to do that to somebody else, then that's called abuse. You're abusing somebody, you're emotionally manipulating them to make them feel less worthy. That also happens within you. And we do it all the time. So let's have a look at some of these questions here. Give me some questions. Yes, audio did not disappear. Okay, just you. 1 minute here, next minute gone. That's how I see life, by the way, and that's magic. 1 minute I'm here, 1 minute I'm not. YouTube does not want anyone to know the truth. Sound, everything was heard. Right, okay, brilliant. I have to learn that when it goes off, that I don't curse and swear and scream and shout. That would be funny, wouldn't it? I think that would be a great show, though. I've had my mother ask me why I want to punish myself with alcohol or McDonald's. I don't need it, but why do I have it? There's many different reasons on that, but I love the fact that you said, I have had my mother ask me why I want to punish myself. That's a good question, isn't it? Because we all punish ourselves. And it's something that we get really used to, as I've just spoke about it, funny enough, but we get used to it and we just think it's the norm. But we do punish ourselves in many different ways. Even from a man level, we sort of got to be successful. We've got to support the family. We've got to, keep everything running. We've got to bring the money in the house. Now, it's not just saying it's a man. I'm just saying it's equal. It's both, right? Before we get into an argument. But whatever it is, as a man has been brought up with that kind of title role in a sense, So we punish ourselves to get things done. We might work 12 hours a day. That technically is punishing yourself. You beat yourself up because you don't feel that you've done well enough. You didn't do good enough. You're frightened you're going to lose your job. There's always this thing that you never feel that you're not doing well. But as for the McDonald's, I mean, I don't eat McDonald's, and I don't understand why people do, but it's everyone's poison, isn't it, really? Alcohol and McDonald's, no, I don't do none of them things. But, what you're doing there is it's feeding an addiction. But when you look at punishing yourself, that's also an addiction, because you get so used to it that you just keep on and you keep on and you can never stop. That's an addiction, isn't it? So food and drink means you're trying to replace something that you feel is lacking. So you'd have to discover that you're lacking something. It could be a feeling. Let's say if you drink and you have a McDonald's, let's say that gives you that feeling of feeling satisfied, full, happy, whatever word it is that you find that it does that, that's what you'll find is lacking. So you have to ask yourself, before you punish yourself with alcohol at McDonald's, and trust me, you're really probably not on your own with that one. I think there's quite a few billion people that do that. So ask yourself, what do you think is lacking, Leon? And what do you think your mother picked up on you and realised that you're actually punishing yourself? So I don't know how many McDonald's you eat, and I don't know how many drinks you have with your McDonald's, but that's your preference, right? Sometimes when we look at food and we look at drinks, it's something that starts and builds up to a point where when it's enough, if it's about chasing the drug, which can be anything from cocaine to heroin to marijuana to all sorts of things. We're always chasing a drug or something. It might just be the need to be wanted, to be loved. We chase that drug, so go around and sleep with everyone because you feel unloved and you feel that that's the only way that you can feel loved. Whatever's missing is the very thing that you're addicted to. It's as simple as that. So for me, I could turn around and say, well, what was missing for me? Well, that was the complete connection to the soul. And I kid you not, and I truly believe this. I believe that everyone is on that search for happiness, right? But it's not just the happiness. It's something about us as a human being that we just want to feel good, which means when you get to the core of what does feeling good means, it means kind of vibrating at a speed that feels comfortable. When you're in love, you vibrate at a different speed, right? When you're not in love or you're down on your luck or whatever it is, you vibrate at a lower speed. Spirituality for me, or beamiality for me, is not having them things, but trying to adjust my energy so that I can still be at a balance. So I'm not at lack and I'm not sort of gaining anything. But it's always about adjusting your energy and your frequency. So, okay, don't say to yourself, well, I'm depressed today. You can change the words and say something like, my energy is low, my vibration is low, my frequency is low, so I'll just let that simmer and I'll sit with that. And that's what I do. I just do all of them things. I just sit with whatever is making my body adjust in its energy. And that's the same with getting back to automatic writing and channeling oneself. Because if you really go into the channeling of oneself and you put that question, it's like, well, why do I drink alcohol and McDonald's? Simmer, sit, and answer your own question. So I'll put it over to you, Leon. Why the alcohol and why the McDonald's, right? What do you think is good? If you like it, then don't punish yourself. But if you do it and then you punish yourself, then that doesn't work out, does it? So you might just go full on in a sense, but don't punish yourself. Many different ways of looking at it. But use your own soul to ask yourself why and put your answer. And if that is your answer, stick with it. Go, yeah, that's the answer. I drink alcohol, you could put because I like it. Or you could put, I drink alcohol because it helps me relax and unwind. I drink alcohol because it helps me to forget things. I drink alcohol because it just makes me feel different. So McDonald's is going to change your energy and vibration. Alcohol is going to change your energy and it's going to change your vibration. But the whole of the human being species, as far as I know, and as far as many as I've spoken with, and being a hairdresser, I sure have spoken to a lot. So always checking out on your energy. But when there is something missing, that's why you want to be addictive. So healing for me, I'm not right. I don't feel good. I don't feel well. I'm totally and utterly depressed. I'm heartbroken. I'm let down. I'm disappointed. So what do I do to replace all of that? You know, I could have hit the drinks and the McDonald's, let's say, or the drugs and think, well, sod it. That's my life. There's nothing I can do about it. But that's what got me addicted to healing. And I think if there's one thing to get addicted to, it's transformation of self, to change oneself's set of beliefs, ideals, values that you have about yourself, changing the way that you think about yourself, which will change the way that you do feel about yourself. So if you find that to be a really good addiction, then I'd get into that, because my writing become almost like, what's the other word? Not addiction, but it became this drive. There was a drive behind it, and it was like, oh, you know, got to see where this goes. And the interesting thing is when you write stuff down and it comes out so good and brilliant, you really do have to get out of the way. Don't block it. Don't try to write. Don't try to do anything. Just let it flow. But the interesting thing that I found, and probably still up to this day of where I'm at right now, I do a lot of writing. I never really look at it. I just know that I'm writing a lot. And then the next day, that's when I'll have a real good look at it. And I look at it and I think, oh my God, I don't even believe that I even wrote that. Because as I say to you, I'm not very good at reading and writing. But when I channel, it's the message that's important, whether you spelt the words right or put the full stops in the right place or not, it's irrelevant. So it's always the message that's important, and it's the way that that message is delivered. So you could turn around and say, you know, I drink and I do McDonald's, and you might just put, because I'm a bloody idiot, right? And you may look at that and think, okay, I'm an idiot. Then you expand it and say, do you really think that you are an idiot? Do you think it's idiotic to have a drink? Do you think it's idiotic to have McDonald's? I don't know how many you eat, but, you know, I don't know. I don't know who you are, but I'm just playing with words and scenarios and situations here. So you have to ask yourself, you know, am I an idiot? So your next answer to that is, from yourself, it's like, yeah, I think I'm an idiot, but I don't know how to stop it. Let it simmer. Just let something come into your energy. Go, why don't you try this? Why do you feel that that's missing? Why do you... So you're almost having like a dialogue, and you're communicating between your lower self of problem and you're communicating with your higher self that has the intelligence. My intelligence built Beamism. My intelligence gave me healing gifts. The unintelligence of Trevor, well, I didn't know I could do that. But my intelligence did, but I didn't know I could do that. You see the difference? It's almost like a schizophrenia. And in the day, I kid you not, I'd put my hands up with the doctors and say, yeah, do you know what? Yeah, definitely hearing voices. I definitely feel like I'm schizophrenic, you know. And if you did that and you went to the doctors on that, well, you've just signed yourself up for almost like a death wish, haven't you, really? Because now you've been put on red alert because that famous word of schizophrenia. But you're going to find most mediums are schizophrenic. They got to be. Because who are they talking to, really? Because you can't see anyone, but they're talking to somebody. So it's a form of schizophrenia, isn't it? So you've got schizophrenia going off on the medical company here, but you've got all these happy mediums that are fantastically overjoyed in their schizophrenia that I'm talking to somebody that you lot can't even see. So you have to really define what is crazy and what is normal. Because I used to think life was normal. I used to think spirituality, psychic mediums, tarot, channeling, ghosts and all that stuff was kind of not normal. But when you get used to the not normal, and the not normal becomes really normal, your human life really does look abnormal. I know it's a tough one, but that's how it works. Because you're stepping in between two different worlds. You've got the one that's your experience, it's got all your addictions in it, it's got all your questions in it, doesn't have your answers, by the way. It's got all your problems, got all your experiences, as I've said, and it's got all the energy, and it's got all the abuse, and it's got all the arguments, and it's got all the words, and it wants to strangle you. That's the human being. Now, I say all of that, and quite frankly, I mean, I had a lot of joy from my life. So my life has not been a complete disaster. It only became like a disaster when I went fully fledged in transformation, which meant that's a disaster because now my normal life is disappeared. It doesn't function. I don't know how to function in it. And then I've gone into that darkness, which is abnormal, and that's technically medical and schizophrenia and mental and mad. I had all them titles. And then, of course, I came out of the other side, completely different man, completely different being, completely different vibrations, thoughts and feelings, ideas, awareness, everything, plans, the whole thing. It's just completely different. And I believe that the human being is the trick. So what you're doing is that you're channeling beyond your human programming. It's your human programming that's loving you, having addictions. But as I say, get addicted to healing and transformation. Leon, yes, I pay the bills of the house for my mother I live with. Okay. And yes, I do long hours. All right, so you're fully in. So that's kind of answering. So you come home, sort of thing. You'll have a drink and you'll have a McDonald's or whatever it is that you want to do. So okay, but you know, a lot of people sort of do things like that. I've seen many people sort of come home. First thing they do is glass of wine, then it's 2 glasses of wine, and so I've seen many people do that because we're led to believe that it's what is it? Glass of wine is it called entertainment? Entertainment? No, there's another word for it. It's like or it'd be rude not to sort of energy for it, isn't it? I don't do drinks, so I'm not really explaining myself properly there. But I think some people look at a bottle of wine and go, "Oh, it's only." I don't know what percentage is on the bottles, but oh, it's only so many percent. That's all right. I won't get drunk on that. But again, it's how many you do, isn't it? And as you know, when you're going out, is it a bottle before you go out? Some people do 2 bottles of wine before they go out. And then they go out and then they throw stuff on the top. And I suppose that's what we call is having a great night. But on incense, you know, it's trying to understand the things that we do and why we do the things that we do. And if the things that we do that piss you off, then that's something that needs healing because you're doing something that you don't actually like doing. And that is a form of like feeling like it's crazy, really. Right, what's going on here? Chris Mike Milk, my cell phone needs a Bluetooth speaker. Right, where are we going with that? Not a question, is it? Right, Leon, when there is no sense of direction for me, I come here. Right, there's always a sense of direction. It's, you know, I'm going to simplify it. A form of direction is we're going to live and then we're going to die. That is a form of direction. Once you kind of know that you're here to live to die, because you're going to die, that's the ultimate, right? Nothing to be morbid about that at all. But that's your sense of direction. And what I mean by that is when you get into the higher self of this, your sense of direction is how much of it can you change about your human programming so that you can enjoy and witness the beauty of life rather than walking around in anger and not really giving a shit about life. So for me, my direction is always to become a better me, which means to know me more, which means to know thyself. People have spoken about that. To know thyself. Do you know thyself? Well, to know thyself is when you get rid of that human being, because even in the human being, you still don't know yourself. So that definitely needs to go out the way. So channeling is always about asking your important questions and getting a reasonable answer and be honest and truthful with your answers. And as you practice it, and of course you're going to be looking at it, go, oh yeah, that's me that's wrote that. But then there's a moment, and there can be a moment, as there was for me, it's like, oh my Lord, look at that. Wow, I didn't even think that was in me. That's a bloody good answer, that is. And you say to yourself, is that answer correct? And you say to yourself, I think it is. Now it's down to you whether you listen to that answer or not. That's down to you. If you don't, then you just go back to your old ways. But if you listen to it, then it can go on and it becomes beamism, it becomes spiritual, it becomes a completely different thing. I have 1 alcoholic beverage a week. Okay, brilliant. Right, we seem to be on the drink here. Right, evolve, synchronous order, no idea what we're talking about there. Right, so questions. Right, okay, I'm just going through them now. It sounds fine on my iPad. You make the journey easier, Trevor. It is that because nobody did that for me. We all struggle. We can struggle as kids at home. You can struggle as kids being at school. You can struggle at work. You can struggle in your relationships. There's always something that you're kind of struggling with. And you can ask people about your relationships, or how did you get over a broken heart, or how did you get through depression. You can ask just the normal people, but they don't really know. And somewhere along the line, they don't even really care, because they're so caught up in their own stuff. But this is a time now, and I think especially now, this is when we're trying to truly understand, who am I? And as you've heard me say, who am I? Well, I am a beamie. And that beamie is much better than the guy that grew up with his experiences, that was supposed to experience things in a certain way, which meant to completely miss life, to completely have no appreciation for life, and just saw relationships as things that worked and then didn't, which meant you loved them and now you hate them. And that basically summed up life, really, doesn't it? You work until you drop, and then when you get old, still nobody gives a shit. So that's the place, isn't it? So you either die at home, or you're going to die in your old age pensioner's home. That's it. It's kind of over. But getting into spirituality, or definitely getting into beamism, I mean, the adventure's only just begun. So my pathway is towards my death, because that I know that is the ultimate truth. Because I kind of got fed up with painting pictures in my head to think, I'm going to become this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to plan that. And then these plans seem to really not work out. And then you can get disappointed. Then you can want to destroy yourself and all of these things, because your plan didn't work out. But in the grand scheme of the soul, that's not your plan. Your plan is the soul's plan. And that's why they say, when we go through life, you have all these ups and downs, and this happens and that happens, and life's very difficult, and it's going to smack you in the face, and all of these things. And we say, that's what life is. But on a soul's level, there's a reason why it's smacking you in the face, and there's a reason why it's taking you from pillar to post, because it actually wants you to move on. It's like you're working your way through a maze. And then you get lost in that maze, and you think, oh my God, how do you get out of here? You have two options. You can walk calmly through that maze, or you can go into a complete anxiety attack. Choice is ours, isn't it? So I always like to sort of look at it and sort of think, well, whatever drama is going on, I can calmly look at that, or calmly understand that. But the more aware you become, the more awake you become, do you know what? You don't get all of that. You don't get all of them dramas. They're non-sense. They don't exist. Everything changes. You just don't do it. It's just not there. So that's the other way of getting into your soul. But once you do write something, and you look at that and you think, I think that's really true, then that's it. Then stick to that. That's it. Question answered. End of. And then another question will pop up. And then you keep doing the same, and then you keep doing the same. And my story was always about, well, I'm trying to be successful, I'm trying to do this, and I'm trying to do that, but none of it seems to be working out. I seem to have these great ideas to do things, and I end up pushing myself to try and do them things, only to be knocked back again. And I think myself, my own self is setting me up. My own self is telling me lies, because my own self says, well, that's a great idea. And so what we do, we try to implement that great idea. And of course, our expectation of that great idea didn't pan out. But the soul is not interested in that. The soul just needed to get you to that point, and then the soul changes its mind and puts you on to a different part of the journey. And so therefore, I feel that we are being knocked around like a game of pinball wizard. They pull the ball back and score the points with the flippers and all of that. I think the human story really is like that. And I think that once you start to see life like that, it all depends how much of the game you want to play. But there's only one game to play. And that game is to heal oneself of how you are feeling. Because how we are feeling is the most important thing, isn't it? It's the source of everything. Everything is done by a feeling. You know, you feel that you want to drink, you feel that you want to go to bed, you feel that you want to go out, you feel that you want to go on holiday, you feel that you don't like work, you feel that this relationship's got to break. It's always going to be about this feeling. And that feeling can come quicker than the thought. You can have a feeling about this relationship's no good because you felt it. And then the brain starts working. It says, I don't think this relationship's working out. So what came first? Was it the feeling or was it the thinking? That's the tough one, isn't it? Thought and feelings, they're like in cahoot with each other because that's all you've got. Thoughts and feelings, thoughts and feelings. So it's like an arc. It does this. It's like if you looked at it on your aura, and if your aura is flat, that's quite a small arc. But if your aura is quite big, it all depends what you're thinking and feeling, then that arc is quite huge because the perception of what you're thinking and feeling is completely different. Right, okay, any questions? Ellie Wim, right, let's go back up here a little bit. Right, Ruth Joke, right, I'm scrolling more than... Right, that should be able to come out of there. Why is that not coming out of that box? Oh, there you go. That's it, can't see me now, but let's just move that in a little bit. Bear with me a second. Right, okay. Hi, Trevor. Did your diet... Oh, God, it's gone. Where have we gone? Did your diet go back to normal after the dark night? Everything tastes not as good anymore. I technically don't really eat that much at all. And funny enough, now you've said that, do you know what? I've never looked at it like that. I can walk around the supermarket and come out and go, there was just nothing. I have no idea. I can stare in the refrigerators for about 20 minutes and nothing's jumping out. It's just, you're right. I don't have the fancy for looking at something and going, ooh, that sounds nice. I think I'll have that, for dinner. I don't do that, but it's funny you said that. I've never really even questioned it. I just got used to this point that I just don't believe my body needs to consume that amount of food. And trust me, back in the day when I was younger and I was doing bodybuilding and that, I used to eat a lot, a lot, For a roast dinner, I'd have my roast dinner, I'd have a separate plate of roast potatoes, then I'd have a separate plate for Paxo stuffing, and then I'd have a separate plate for batter puddings. That was the whole of my dinner, right? And if anyone left any, I'd eat that as well. And it was a big thing. It's like, oh, Trev's at the wedding, get your food in quick, because if not, he's gonna eat the lot, sort of thing. I was a big eater. But you're right, through the dark night of the soul, yeah, that all stopped. I think it was like almost like a survival thing, really, because when I ran out of money, I couldn't even afford a bag of chips. That's saying something, isn't it? So even if somebody gave me £3 to get some chips, it was like, oh my God, £3 was a ransom. So you can imagine, for an homeless guy, you give an homeless guy some money, it's like, it's a ransom. It really is. I mean, I gave one guy £20, he just chilled. He just jumped all over me. He just thought he just won the lottery. He just was over the moon. So it's amazing. When you've got no money, a small amount of money is amazing. Or you've got the other scale, when you've got a lot of money and you're asking for a lot of money, it doesn't mean anything. I've been on both ends of them scales. Ruth Jones, I've got a question. I see with eyes open spirits. Think it's a shapeshifter. I don't know why. It don't let me know why it's there. Sometimes it writes words on the wall. Why don't they show themselves? But you're seeing it though, aren't you? So isn't it not showing you? I got a question. I see with eyes open spirits. I think it's a shapeshifter. I don't know why. It don't let me know why it's there. Sometimes it writes words on the wall. why don't they show themselves? All right, I feel a little bit confused on that one, because you're saying it's like you don't see them and then you sort of can see them. But listen, it's a tough one. I've heard audible words that have blown me away, right? And then I've questioned spirit because they don't have a voice box. That's a simple fact, really, isn't it? You don't have a voice box. But when you do mediumship, it's like it's a telepathy. It's a feeling, and it's words that are put into your mind, and that's how that kind of works. What you have to do is that the message is for you to determine what it is, but it might be a case where you'll never find out what that is. You know, I had a few massive, unbelievable things that's happened, drove me crazy, and then I just gave up because I thought to myself, well, I'm never going to know what they are, what they wanted, but I will when I leave this realm. I'll know exactly who they are, and that would be kind of great. But yeah, they can be shape-shifting because they're just energy. So you can see, you know, you see them in a way that it's comfortable for you. So you could say it's a shapeshifter. So in your soul's energy, in your energy, you could also be a shapeshifter. And that's why shapeshifters come into you. It's like if when a Merlin came to me, he's turning around and basically saying, I'm emanating you, there's a Merlin in you. And then when the Christ energy came, that was all about me understanding that there's a Christ energy that's within me. And then that's how I always kind of looked at it. So when the spirits became higher in their different dimensions, that was letting me know that my inner self is also coming from that higher level dimension. So if yours is into shapeshifting, then there may be an ability there within you as a shapeshifter. But when you see that he writes words on the wall, you've got to write them words down, because that's how beamism all came. I spoke to somebody and he sees it all on the ceiling, and I said, you've got to capture that stuff because it's not normal. Go tell your doctor. Go and tell your doctor exactly that. Going to look at you like, they got a tablet for that, by the way. But anyway, always let it simmer. But what you're trying to do is to get into your own connection with yourself. And listen, if anyone is seen as spirit, just one, that lets you know that the spirit world is real, and it's as simple as that. And so therefore, when you know that you see a spirit, and then you know that the spirit world is real, then what about you? That's real. You're going to be exactly the same. So that one spirit is enough. So for the message for you on that roof is, don't forget, you're also going to be a shapeshifter when you leave here, and maybe you'll start trying to write things on the wall to get someone to get a message. So I would look at it like that. Florentine, why life feels like I need to be a hermit mode constantly. I don't feed in 3D world anymore. There's nothing in the 3D world anymore. It's the answer. It's as simple as that. So again, don't punish yourself for that, because it happens to a lot of, look at the Hermit and the tarot cards. Look at gurus sitting up in the mountains. Look at Buddha. Look at Jesus. They all go off into the wilderness. My wilderness was a shed. My Bodhi tree was a shed. You know, because that's where I can say I've sort of found God, or found myself who found God. But no, the Hermit, if you're in the Hermit mode and you hate it, then try and do something about it. But you'll find that it's going to be hard to do something about it. But when you look at that outside world, it puts you into hermit mode anyway, because you have to say to yourself, well, do you know, I just don't mix with them people. It's as simple as that. I just don't like them. I don't get on with them. I don't trust them. So state your claim. State what it is. I'm a hermit because of, and that's it. And the hermit disappears. But a hermit is a good teacher. But a hermit, there's two stages in the hermit, right? The hermit can be a very wise person. The soul has got the you to become the hermit, because your soul wants you on your own. It doesn't need a distraction. I always say that God wanted me on my own because he had something to say. It had something to say, should I say. And I needed to listen. But if I was on the outside world, none of that was going to happen. Beamism wouldn't have happened. Absolutely none of it would have happened. So I spent a lot of time in that hermit mode, and I hated it. I can't begin to tell you how much I hated it, because I was a guy on the outside world doing photo shoots, catwalks, magazines, top models, hairdressing, makeup, photography. You know, my life was quite entertaining. It was never an inside job, you know, nothing to do with being a hermit at all. But when everything went, and I found myself being the hermit because all of that went, that's when I realised that I was in a lot of pain, and the outside world was just pretending that he wasn't in pain. So when everything stops on the outside, that's when we find out how much that you are in pain, and that's the healing of the hermit. But once you understand the healing of the hermit almost gets a diploma in a sense, which means you can go and see an hermit. Okay, can be tarot readers, they can be gurus, they can be sitting up in mountains still in India, they're still there, or in Tibet even. You know, look at Tibet and the monks and things like that. You know, they're very much in the hermit stage, but look how they are as beings. So the hermit is potentially your space, but it's whether or not you like it or not. I didn't like it. I didn't know whether or not I was being put in jail, or I was being blocked, or I was being protected, and that was the reason why I felt like I was a hermit. But I earned my diploma in the hermit stage, because that's when I connected into the intelligence. That's when I realised I was in a lot of pain. That's when I realised that I needed to heal that pain. And then the next stage of the hermit that's when he goes on his journey, comes out of that, because the reason being he's in the cave is because he has the answers, but he's not dealt with their own, what's the word? He's got the answers, but he's not walking the path. But he's got the answers, but not the experience. They're called psychiatrists nowadays, and doctors and things like that. So it's a very interesting stage. Come away from the word hermit though a little bit, because it does make you feel like it's a hermit. But in the hermit ways, it's peaceful, isn't it? Really, it's quiet. But if you call that loneliness, then there's the problem. But if you call that peacefulness, it's not a problem. But it's the same scenario. It's just the words we give it. But if you hate it, then you need to do something about it if you can, if you want to. Right, so, hi Trevor, Seeker, did your diet go back to normal? No, it didn't. Leon, I found the same. I spent most of my time in the fruit and veg section than I ever have in the last 4 years. That's the way that you seem to go, isn't it? But I tell you, even now, watching things on Instagram and YouTube, it's like, even we're getting to a stage now, it's like, don't eat the lettuce, you know, and things like this. Don't eat, what's the one I was watching the other day? Don't eat broccoli. It's like, what? I thought, we start stripping off the veggies, how many veggies does it leave, right? And I love veg, but now there's all these other things that are coming out with, like, oh, don't eat that because it's spiked with that, and it's got this, and it doesn't do this, and it doesn't do that. And I think maybe why in the dark night of the soul I don't eat a lot is because I think whatever you're kind of putting in, it just seems like it's got some form of toxicity or some sort of poison or some sort of something in it that it's just not going to work. So I don't know anymore. But I think I just don't think I just don't consume a lot of any of it really, and I just, no, I don't. I can go all day and I have to say, oh, I've not eaten. I have to remind myself that I haven't eaten. In the dark night of the soul though, 2-3 days. People say to me, when's the last time you ate, Trevor? I go, oh, I don't know, I can't really remember. It might be 2-3 days now. And they say, are you not hungry? I go, no. I'm really not hungry. And if I do eat, then I wished I didn't eat because it makes me feel like I've lost energy. It's weird, isn't it? Try it. You'll lose a lot of weight. If you want to lose weight, just get used to the energy of the body. If we're light beings, which we are, and if we're empty space, then which we are, then what is food? Is food light? And is food empty space and atoms? Well, it kind of is, isn't it? So on a very high level of quantum physics, you're basically eating nothing anyway, because you're not even here. I know it's weird, isn't it? Interesting about the hermit guided by his lamp path isn't always clear. No, it's not always isn't clear, and that pathway does keep changing. That's from Double E. Some journeys we must take alone. Your whole journey's alone. It doesn't matter if you've got 10 kids. You're still alone, really, in it all, because your journey is alone. It's your one personal journey. It doesn't matter who you got in it. It's still about you. It's your one-off journey. Write it down, let it simmer. Ellie Wynn likes that. Let it simmer. The words are not clear. Then this is Ruth Jones. The words are not clear. Ask for them to become clear. Don't be shy. Don't be scared to ask. Imogen Rex, welcome to the show. Some equals come. Right. Lost me on that one. So there you go. Right. Let's go back up again. Does enlightenment some because we've worked hard to live a good and spiritual life, or is it just randomly dealt out amongst us? I think there's all different forms of it, right? But I think enlightenment for me was when I discovered I wasn't a human being, and that I discovered that I don't have to put myself through that shit to be a human being. I discovered enlightenment when I'd balanced my emotions. I'd become enlightened when I wasn't me anymore. I become more enlightened when I become more self-aware. My levels of consciousness changed, my intelligence changed, my compassion, that definitely changed. My love definitely changed. So enlightenment is personal. You can find enlightenment wherever it is. And don't forget, Buddha, it wasn't until we heard that musical instrument play a bum note that he knew that if you play a bump note, then the whole thing's out of tune. So we're not playing the tune of life. And don't forget, with Buddha, he was Prince, then he was poor, then he thought, okay, well, that's all that's on offer. You're either that or you're either that. And, of course, he found the middle way. For me, Be Me was the middle way between my human self and everything I knew about spiritual. And then I thought, well, the middle way. Now, how did that middle way come? I was asking my inner self, because that's enlightenment. I'm now asking myself for enlightenment to give me a middle pathway, and that's how it gets built. There's such an intelligence within us. You know, it's beyond anything. I still don't think we've even got to the point of the intelligence that's residing in us, and I think there's so much more. I think what the human being has been led to believe is it's a slave. Just row the galley boat. You're a slave, and it's as simple as that. And a slave means that you've not taken the time to sort of really truly understand who you are and what you want to do and what you're capable of. So we just choose, well, that'll do. I'll just do that because that'll do. And that's how you kind of live your life. But I think for me, I didn't go out of my way to sort of go, I think I'll become enlightened, or I think I'll put myself through a lot of shit just to get through to understand the power and the gift of healing. Because once you truly understand that you are beyond, you're technically transcending above your thoughts and feelings and anger and emotions, because that anger and emotions and any emotional parts of you have been given to you through your experiences. So that's all you're doing, is that you're acting them out. But when you get to the point that says, I can't keep doing this. This is awful. Even I don't like it. And that's what it was for me. So it really was enlightenment for me, is get rid of that human being, because that's actually going to kill me. It's going to kill me off, and it was very close. And then be me, become my enlightenment, and truly it is that enlighten up. Some say, and I think I'll agree, we are enlightened. We do have this intelligence. The soul is uniquely intelligent and so well connected, but it's the human programming that's destroying it. It's like getting an Apple Mac computer, and it's got optimum speed, right? And if you left it at that and it didn't do anything more other than its optimum speed of what's on there, and then what do? We keep throwing shit on top of the optimum speed. We put apps on it. We put all these things, and then it starts to get slow. Then we start to run out of space, and before you know it, you just get used to it, and you don't even realise if it's running slow, because you just got kind of used to it. But then you have that moment where you go, "Phew, that's gone slow." So then you might take it somewhere, which is going to cost you money, just for them to turn around and say you need a reset. So that's cost you a lot of money. But in your own self, if you looked at it and think, well, I think I can do the reset, then I'll save myself some money, and plus I know how to do it. So you do the reset, and it all goes back to how it was when you bought it. You go, oh my God, look at that, it's brand new. To me, that's the difference. I think you came with all the gifts. I think you fill up your computer with shit, and then the dark night of the soul is the shoveler to get the shit out, basically. And then you become an empty shell so that you can start again. And then you fill it up with your own enlightenment, your own way, your own truth. That's what I decided that it was, and it worked for me. Ruth Jones, it don't show itself completely. No, they don't show themselves completely. You can only see certain parts. It's like when I done channeling on stage, I didn't see them at all. So that was even harder for me, because I'm speaking all this stuff, and I don't even witness. I don't even get to witness it. I was gutted about that. I wished I was in the audience and seeing it. There is one I did do sit in the audience, and I did see that, and that was interesting. So for me, spirit totally exists. But the reason behind beamism is that I wanted to know, yeah, but what about my spirit? And of course, my spirit and my soul has developed all of this stuff, and has found out that healing is very much a natural condition that again has been hidden away from us because, it's taboo. Of course you can't heal yourself, you crazy person. That's what people used to say to me, but no, I went beyond that craziness. Right, Kundalini King, transition phase. Liminality. I told you I can't read. No one believes me. Okay, so Kundalini King. You must know a lot, because hopefully you're the Kundalini King, right? So you must know the ins and outs of what it means to experience the Kundalini. Kundalini's a lovely word. I call mine the Be Me Lot. It's just the ladder of truth, and that's my Kundalini. But everything is a transition phase. I look at life in all of his way. Everything transitions. A leaf on the tree, it transitions. Everything transitions from one thing to another thing. Chris Milk, yes, Hermit, I'm in jail. We are all doing time. It just depends on where you are doing it. Yes, you can sense yourself. You are in prison. And that's where they like the people that are running everything. So that's what we're in at the moment. They're the people that are in control of everything you do, and they will make sure you're in prison. Hence the COVID thing. Where was you? You was put in prison. But the horrible thing about it is that that you'll find yourself in prison, but it's your own home, but you call it a prison. Oh, there's my baby girl. There's my little Aston on here. Hi, babes. Hi, Dad. Hi, Ast. Oh, you made me go, oh, it's so nice to see you on here. Yes, this is what your dad does when you don't ring him. He helps people. Right, well, it's nice to see you on here, kid. Oh, that's really made my day, that has. Oh, lovely. I don't suppose you'll be on here for long, though, will you, with 4 kids and an husband? But she's my baby girl. I always call her my baby girl, even though she's 40. but she's still my baby girl. She'll always be my baby girl. I'll speak to you real soon, kid. And if you've got any questions, now's the time to ask your father, because I'm your father, whatever that means. Aston Uckfield. Oh, lovely to see your lovely face, Dad. Miss you. I miss you too, kid. But there is things called a video phone and the internet. I love you so much. Right, Seeker. Does going through the dark night make us weak? You better believe it. Sometimes I think I'm weak for going through this, like I can't handle life. Yeah. My mates, let me put it this way. My mates would always said, I'm not a man to mess with. I was very good at martial arts and stuff like that. No one messed with me, right? So where I come from, you're kind of called a face, which means don't mess with him because you're not going to win. And but when I went through this dark night of the soul, one of my mates came up to me and said, Trev, been talking to the guys. We're losing a bit of respect for you. So I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, you know we've got a lot of respect for you, don't you? And I said, well, I don't know, but yeah, if you say you've got a lot of respect for me. He said, but since you've been going through this lovey-dovey shit, I don't think anyone's respecting you anymore. So that was a bit of a, in my weakness moment, they felt brave enough to actually pose that question in the first place because there was a weakness going in there. Yes, there is a weakness in there, and there's meant to be a weakness in there because what you believed is to be strong isn't strong at all. The dark night of the soul is truly a warrior's pathway. You know, I've fought in, whether it's boxing, judo, karate, jiu-jitsu, kung fu, wing chun, I've done a lot. I would rather fight 10 men than to go through the dark night of the soul again. There is a level beyond weakness that you're so vulnerably weak, you really don't want to get into a fight. And you really don't, no, it will strip you. Because what it's teaching you is that you thought you was in control, and what you thought was being strong isn't strong at all. This man thing, big man's ego, got one of them and all. Basic man's ego, got one of them and all. Is this thing of control. You know, in my area they walk around like that. All right, Trevor, how you doing, son? What you doing? Come down to booze up, get a few birds tonight. You know, that's what we call a geezer. You know, oh, don't mess with him. He's a this, that, and the other sort of thing. But you know, they think that's what it means to be strong. You know, to be in control. Whereas the bottom core of it, it's not at all. It's, as they always say, it's the quiet one you've got to watch out for, and that was me in the quiet one. So you will go through a lot of weakness, and I've never felt so weak in all my life. But the strength afterwards, even if it is about love, right? When I started talking about healing, I mean, one of my mates turned around and said, Trev, if I hear one more healing word out of your mouth, I swear you're getting this. That's how much it affected them, because what's happening is, because in my transformation, it's affecting them. And when I talk about the way I talk, it's affecting them, because one, they're not computing with the Trevor that they used to know, and now they're hearing a totally different Trevor, who's giving totally different words and advice and love and contempt, all these great things. And you know, it got to this point where love becomes the strength. The human didn't have the strength, because most people that are abundant in money have had a fear of losing money, so that's what made them earn a lot of money. So there's always a fear based behind something of what we do. But in the dark night of the soul, when it strips you bare, it's going to strip you to the bare bones, because, as I said, it's a warrior's pathway, and it's a tough journey, I kid you not. And that's why it's called the last initiation, because if you can get through this, there's not a fucker out there that can put any amount of fear into you, because the dark night of the soul has made sure it's put you through every conceivable fear without even leaving the front room. And then the ending of that story is once you can understand the lessons in the fear, then you find the strength in that fear, you find the love in that fear, because all fear wanted to be is loved, right? And when you look at the human being, it goes through the dark night of the soul, what is it not doing? Well, it's not loving self. So we run in fear that somebody else isn't loving us, see? It's all fear-based. So yes, you will lose weakness. Most relationships, a lot of relationships can feel weak. There's always a dominating partner. Right, Aston, lovely to see you, lovely to see you too. Oh, love you, Dad, love you too. Yeah, Double E, Aston. So if you ever see her name come up, that's her there. Aston Uckfield. Right, okay, babes. Right, Door, 1999. Let me know if I've missed anyone, because, oh, right, hold up a minute. Let's go back up a tad. Right, make a sweet. I've done that one. Then I've got my little baby Aston. Zantsu. How was it for you when doing client? Did you channel randomly? How was it for you when doing client? Talking to a client? Working with a client? Yeah, channeling can come in randomly. You know, for instance, I had a Skype meeting with somebody, and I went with the route of more of the channeling route, and but I just start off easy, just talking and this, that, and the other, and all of a sudden, it went across the board, and then all of a sudden, I threw in this, because it came into my mind, and I said, "Have you ever seen the film The Field of Dreams?" It's got Kevin Costner, and it's about a baseball, and a guy builds a baseball field on a cornfield because he hears a voice. So as soon as I said that to him, he said, "I know exactly what you're talking about. I worked on the movie." And I thought, see, there it is. So as I'm channeling, I'm getting in, talk about The Field of Dreams, the movie, and there's me sort of going, well, why do I want to talk about The Field of Dreams, the movie? He's not going to be interested in that. Shut up, go away, sort of thing. But when you become a fluent channel, you speak what you speak. See, you don't care if you're wrong. If they say, "Well, no, I've no idea of what that means." But when I said that, and he said that he was there on that film and everything else, I was like, I get blown away myself. Channeling comes in with wide words that we say that we don't realise we're going to say. Channeling can be a form of like you've inspired someone or gave them something that they just needed, and it just worked for them. It's like, oh my God, there's a ha-ha moment. You may not have known what you said, but to that person, it's a real good ha-ha moment. Always listen to your ha-ha moments, because that's all to do with a lot of channeling, especially within yourself. There is the things that you don't answer, but it comes in later. It's a ha-ha moment because there's a drop or there's a change in your energy. Right, Door 1999. Oh, come on, mouse, work. Where are you going? My personal tarot card is the Hermit, and a transcending goal card is the World card. So, okay, so you're going from the Hermit to the World card, which will be completion. What could be the meaning behind that calculation? Green, I just said that. So the World card is it can be depicted as the snake eating its own tail, can't it? And they always used to say, the snake said, stay away from the knowledge. Well, really and honestly, we should have had all the knowledge. And of course, that's what we're doing now. So to become whole, for me, is what that would mean. So you're going to come from the Hermit, which is the Hermit is what I call the wounded healer. As I said, it's got the diploma, it's got the words, but it needs to adhere to them. And so therefore, the meaning behind the calculation, the world card, that's a completion. So when I got to what I thought was my enlightenment, and I couldn't go no beyond more than all the stuff I've got that I can handle, then I would go to that world card, see that I've done the complete journey, and then I would start the Fool's Journey again. But this time I'm going to start the Fool's Journey being fully conscious rather than starting the Fool's Journey being unconscious. See what I'm saying? The human being has started its journey through unconsciousness. So when you become a little bit more enlightened, or you just become a beamie. It doesn't have to have fancy words. That's why I haven't got a business card. So I don't have a website. I don't know what my title is. I'm just a beamie. I'm just being me, right? It's as simple as that. So when you get it from within yourself of what you feel you've had a success with, and it can just be something silly like you love yourself more, or you guide yourself more, or you're not angry anymore, or you're not frustrated anymore, or you don't have anxiety attacks anymore. You know, that's a form of a world card, and that's called success, because there's no greater feeling than personal success. And that comes when you pass your driving test. No one can do it for you, but that moment that you pass your driving test, look at the feeling of how you feel. It's the success of doing that transformational journey. And that's how it makes you feel. No one's given it to you. You've actually given it to yourself. You've owned it. We all start out in this world as a fool, a bit like the tarot. Funny that I hadn't even seen that. But yeah, the tarot cards are brilliantly clever. Whoever created them, whoever started with them or whatever, it seems to be one step in the way of spirituality for a lot of people, as it was for me. But I come from the East End, so it's like we kind of knew all about that stuff anyway. There was always an old woman that lived around the corner that had a set of tarot cards, you know. So I remember when I very first bought my first pack of tarot cards, and it was a long time, must be 40 years ago maybe. And you could only buy basically one pack, maybe two pack. I think it was the Rider-Waite pack. That's all you had. And I think it was in French, like denier and things like that. And but you know, now it's probably 5,000, 10,000 packs of cards you can buy, but they all say the same thing. It's the journey between being born and dying. It's as simple as that. But whoever did it, it's an incredible journey. Desprez. Everybody goes through the dark night of the soul, or this is something that happens only to people which are in a particular phase of the spiritual path. People can go what they call the dark night of the soul for them. A drama, a trauma, a situation, a death. It can always bring some form of a dark night. And a dark night is that moment when it's like you have lost control. You have no idea of what you're doing. You don't feel like you want to function. So people can say that they're actually going through a dark night of the soul because it kind of means that to them. Something's happened and they're not sure how to put it right. The difference between what I would say is the real dark night of the soul, you're going to see a shitload of stuff that you didn't even know existed. You're going to see the demonic world, you're going to see the spirit realm, you're going to see the 5D realm, you're going to even see the God realm. You're going to see so many things that you're going to be thrown all over the place. So mine wasn't just the case of I've got the arsehole, I've got the ump, and I'm depressed because things haven't worked out. I'm dealing with a very bad spirit, girlfriends getting attacked, doors being locked, can't get out of front rooms, heating being turned off and busted, so it was always cold in there, rooms turning black, and getting hit by spirit, bed levitating and being dropped onto the floor, being pinned down in my sleep. So much goes on. So the dark night of the soul is an initiation, and it is it is the strip out. It truly is when God's got your attention. There's no way out of this. You've got to take this journey. There's no going back. Doesn't matter how many times you try. There's no going back, because I tried. There's no going back. So it wasn't the case of that I had the ump, or I got depressed and I was just having a little bit of a bleak dark night of the soul. No, that wasn't it. The dark night of the soul is full blown, and for me, the dark night of the soul representing my true identity, my true essence of who I am. And that dark night was the soul that I thought that I used to know, but it's not the soul that I am, and that's completely different. So it really is. So people can say they go through the dark night of the soul. To them it is, but the real meaning of it all, it's a journey that will take you to the edge of insanity. But once you get through it, then you become something completely different. And I mean completely different. Even my little baby Aston on there, she turned around and said, when I was going through it, I want my dad back. You're not my dad. If she's still on here, she'll back that up. But that's what she said to me. You're not my dad. I think I said, I know. And that was a bit sad for me because, and she also said, it's a real shame, she said, Dad. I said, why is that, kid? She said, my kids will never get to see the dad I grew up with. And I went, oh, that was one in the ribs. But I totally understood what she meant. She knows me as being the crazy dad. We have a lot of laughs and everything else. Nothing was never a problem. But she said, I don't think the kids have ever seen that dad that I knew so well before the transformation. And it took my kids a little while to sort of understand what their dad was going through because, I'd lost a lot of things. Personality was one of them. Happiness was another one of them. Joy was another one. The whole thing disappeared. That's why it's called the dark night. But what you'll find out is that a lot of them things that we are, like fun and happiness and joy and all them things, that's still very much the material level of the human. They're the reactions that we can do. We can laugh, we can cry, we can be sad. But I think in the dark night of the soul, you get to this point where you don't experience them in the same way because you've come here for something that's beyond that, which is greater than that, which means you've come here to create something, whether it brings joy or not. You're here on a mission, and that mission has been entrusted to you and guided for you to actually fulfill that. And that's what I do, no matter what's going on in my material world. I've still got this drive that keeps me wanting to do these stuff. And Trevor can turn around and go, what are you doing it for? You're wasting your time. Why? Why do you want to help so many people? But, that can be questioned, especially if I went to the bank and asked for some money. I mean, I'd be laughed out of the bank. But on the drive of the soul, I mean, it's a total different game. And that's the difference between the dark night of the soul and the dark night of the soul. Dark night of the soul means you're coming out, you're making a difference because you have something different. Right, being me is so beautiful. I want to be here. The community is growing and I love it. It is beautiful mind energy, beautiful me, beautiful Mother Earth. Beauty, beautiful, is a key word in all of it. In the dark night of the soul, would you look? Ugly. Women, if you don't put your lipstick on in the morning or your eyeshadow or whatever you want to call it, don't you feel ugly? If you went out, you definitely don't want to see the neighbours without your mascara on. Oh God, there's Linda over there. Don't let her see me, for God's sake. I know it. I've been in the makeup game long enough. Trying to understand, my industry was beauty. It's the biggest industry on, one of the biggest industry markets on the planet. Because everyone is interested in beauty. But that beauty is only lasting 5 minutes, isn't it? I can make your hair look fabulous and you will look fantastic. But when you wash it, you're not going to be able to do it in the way that I did it. So as soon as it's washed, that beauty, that look is kind of gone, isn't it? It's like your makeup. I could do your makeup. I could make you look like whoever. And you think, oh my God, I look so beautiful. But then one wipe with a tissue, where's the beauty gone? Well, it's in the tissue, isn't it? It's in the wipe. There's your beauty. So we've got so used to falsifying, painting our faces to make something look beauty. Now, the art of makeup is all about light and dark. So if there's something that you don't appreciate or something is not your key feature, you just recede it a little bit if you don't want it to be prominent. But if it's a feature that you do feel like it could be enhanced, then we add light to that darkness and we bring it forward. Dark pushes back, light recedes. Dark creates the shadows, light gives you the plump, right? That's how you do a makeup. So when you learn how to do a beauty makeup, it means you've used just 3 foundations, a medium, a dark, a medium and a light. And then you can do a complete face in just 3 foundations using light and dark shades. And that's how you tell who is a great makeup artist. And I'm not seeing a lot of that on any YouTube or any Instagram or any girl that was walking around this street or anywhere. That there is no such thing called the beauty makeup. Reason being is because it is the hardest to actually achieve. And the strange thing is that it's natural, and everyone is natural, but I'm afraid to say the society and fashion has made women feel like they can't be natural and that you are not beautiful, and that if you don't look beautiful with your makeup on, you'll never be accepted by a man. But let me tell you something about man. If you truly got into the man can't stand the makeup. He hates it. That's just first-hand appearance. Right, my first deck was the Mythic Tarot. I loved them. Oh yeah, double E, yeah, Mythic Tarot. You used to see me use them on TV, didn't you? Thanks so much. So it goes way deeper. I did not know that. Yeah, oh yeah, it goes way deep. Way deep. Total transformation. Oakley's mum. Can you share some things you did to stop these attacks? Yeah. Oh, right. What, on the dark night of the soul or the attacks on the spirit? Once you know that they're there, they can't keep coming back. It's like spirit is very sly. That's why you only kind of see it glimpsely. Glimpsely, is that a word? It is now. You see it out the corner of your eye, right? It's just like, I know there's a spirit standing there. He's being sly, right? He's not going to come round to the front, because once they're seen, that's why they disappear, because they have to disappear. That's the law behind it all. Once seen, they've got to go. So in spiritual attacks like that, the more you fear them, the more they love it. That's the difference, right? It's like a bully. Spirits can be like bullies. I went through experiencing a lot of bullies. And the reason why I was going through a lot of dark spirits is because my ancestors back in the day killed a lot of people. All our families did. It was called war, right? Spirit are still pissed off about that, and they were still trying to attack me because of that. But that's a different story altogether. But in my story, all that became very, very true. So a lot of attacks like that can come in is that someone's very angry around it. And let's face it, people, a lot of people do leave this planet very angry. So that's why we get the darkened spirits. Carmen, hello darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk to you again. I love that song by Damage. Is it called Damage? He really gave it that real powerful thing. That's it. That's a great thing. Hello darkness, my old friend. It's a great song. Simon Garfunkel. Rebecca, I found my best friend, my enemy's enemy. I found my best friend equals my enemy's enemy. Okay. You are your enemy, but you're also your best friend as well. So your arguments between us is between the enemy. That's the infiltration of the human programming. You've got to really understand that human programming really is an infiltration. Why do you think Jesus led people away from their jobs? Because their jobs wasn't real. It wasn't what they was here to do, you know. That's all it was all about. It was bring people away from what they thought was the real thing they should be doing. But it's not that. So, yes. Chris Milk, The Sound of Silence. The Sound of Silence is an incredible place in the dark night of the soul, even though it took me ages to understand that silence was my best friend. Seeker, would you say you're motivated now, Trevor? I'll ask you that back. Do you think I'm motivated? I'll leave that one to you. I've always been motivated in a lot of things, but I'm motivated for this mission. Whereas you can get motivated in other things you do and you just think, oh, sod it, you know. Motivation can last for 5 minutes. But for me to be motivated, yeah, that's the soul's motivation. That's the soul that keeps me motivated, because there's no one helping me with this. There's no one can help me with any of it. It's all, I'm all on my own with it all. Aston Nutfield, it was hard times, Dad, but I wouldn't change you for the world. You've always been the best, Dad. Yeah, you remember that, kid, don't you, when I went through that? And do you remember saying that? Yeah, it was hard. It was hard times. But we're all right. We're good. We're good to go. We've learnt a lot, haven't we? We have. Rebecca Jones, Messi, Messi, Messi? Rebecca Jones, Messi with an I is my motto. Okay. Door 1999. Yes, awesome. Thank you. Were you born in 99? Is there a reason behind 1999? It was a big turning point in transformation, 1999. Carmen 8:30. The darkest hour is just before the sun rises. It is that. But there are many sunrises. So it all depends which one is going to be the actual sunrise. My God, my Shayla's on here as well. Hi, Dad. Good advice. Well, the whole family's on here today. That's my other child, my other baby girl. My baby girls are baby girls, even though they're women, but they're still my baby girls. Hi, Shay. Yes, this is what your dad looks like now. Yes, I missed you all. It's good to see you on here, though. I suppose Aston's rung you and said Dad's on his YouTube doing his live. This is all new. It's all new equipment now. Shayla says, so true, Ast, the very best. Ah, there you go, bless. There wasn't like when I used to say to you about my kids. Never had an argument, have we, kids? Never in our days have we had an argument. And that I'm proud of. Right, I'll speak to you real soon, kids, unless you've got some questions. Got any questions that you want to put out to the world to get in connection with? But I'm very delighted. Thank you for being here. I feel emotional about that now. Rebecca Jones, I feel my growth was like gold. It started at 10,000 gold and has grown to 20,000 up to the age of, is that 40? Oh, 40. Now I'm 41 in 2025. I feel like I'm 100,000 gold within, and this is the shift I experienced when my reality, shifted so huge and so fast, like a dream, like a snap of a finger, a blink of an eye, but it hasn't manifested on the external yet, but it is coming, it is almost here, and it will be the exact, there's going to be more to that somewhere, isn't there? Right, listen, well done you, because it is gold. The soul's journey. The soul came here to do only two things: love self, love life. The soul awakens to that moment when it goes, shit, I'm supposed to be doing something and I've got completely lost and I'm not doing it, and it's like, oh no. The soul is almost like feeling like it's in trouble because it's supposed to be doing something, but it didn't do it, it didn't want to do it. Like the human life, it liked doing all the addiction things and everything else. But then when it gets to the corner, it's like, oh shit, you know what? I suppose I better start this story. So the gold is within. Within you can be an absolute multi-millionaire because the knowledge and the wisdom and the enlightenment that you sense from it is the feeling that you would get if you just become a millionaire. You would have that feeling. It's like, oh my God. But with that feeling of becoming a multi-millionaire, you would then have that feeling. It's like, oh shit, now what do I do with that? So that can bring all different senses of feelings, right? And I know someone about that did that. And then, but when you're going for, 100,000 gold within, Mbeki came in as the gold prophet, because gold for me was the vibration of, that was the wealth, that was the gold, that was the success of your journey of completing your mission, which meant to understand why you're here. It's nothing to do with the outside world. There's not a lot going on in my outside world, be honest with you, like zilch. But my inner world is so filled with so many things that outside world, it can't give me what I already got in here. And it's really difficult and very hard to explain that, but that's what it is. So it's not about out there. This is a short life. Your eternal life is a long life, and that's what you came here for. The soul came here believing that it won't get lost, but then it got lost. And then help came in. That was the dark night of the soul. put it back on the pathway, and now its goal of the soul is to get home. It knows it's going to get home. It's going to go back even wiser than when it came here. It's going to have all the intelligence and the knowledge of what life is all about, and you've got a story to tell. That's your story. So I thought it was all going to be about that outside world. No, the soul's not interested. It didn't come here for that. So hopefully you'll get what it is that you want to get on that outside world. But as they say, everything is within, and that took me a long time to understand that, because it sounds like a bit of a cop-out, doesn't it, that everything's within. And, you know, when people used to say to me, you know, you've got to speak from the heart, and I used to think, fuck off. It pumps blood, and that's just that. What do you mean, talk from the heart? How can you talk from the heart? It doesn't work. So, you know, I come from that level of arrangement, let's say, that I wasn't etiquette in any of it, in any language, in any spirituality, in any form of knowledge or wisdom, or literally nothing, to then discover my own, which was never read from a book, because I don't read books. So the gold within is, yeah, my gold and wealth is like, oh, thank God I recognise myself and life, because before that I didn't. Find your inner peace and your enemy has been defeated. It is that. It's as simple as that. Equal and an opposite. It's like, and dark, isn't it? And in the peace, in the enemy is the same thing. But the enemy is a good opponent. It's chess, isn't it? You've got to have an enemy. You're playing against an enemy, and that enemy knows your tactics. It knows your moves. It knows exactly your next move. That's what's happening when you're dealing with that inner world. It knows every move. But once you get clever and you understand it, then yes, you can find inner peace. I understand the inner peace, but I don't sort of sit with too much of inner peace. I sit more on a creative level of a perception of how much is more within me. So that doesn't bring me peace, but I do have that peacefulness that I don't endure now in the dark night of the soul, because I felt like I was being tortured and beyond tortured. Lizzie, Trevor, when you got pinned down to the bed by spirit, did you figure the purpose of such involuntary force? My answer to this is quite simple. They didn't want me growing as a being, and they didn't want me delivering the message that I had. That was it for me. That was my, not excuse, but that's something that felt right for me. It was just like as if, you know, I felt like I had this real, where can I begin with that? I just felt like that as my soul was awakening, there was something of importance, and all of this was sent. And then it got to the point for me where I looked at it and thought, hold up here a minute. Who am I really that warrants putting demonic attacks on me? And then that got me questioning. It's like, well, what have I got then that warrants this? And that's what got me thinking, well, they must be doing this for a real reason. And that was the real reason. The real reason was for me to grow and understand and bring such a message, which is completely different to all the messages that's out there, because I'm changing the complete identity of who you are as a human being into a be me being. No one's ever thought about that. I think I'm the only man on the planet saying you are definitely not a human being. Of course, you've got people that saying, yeah, you're not a human being, but you're a spiritual being. Yeah, but we can't see that spiritual being. But I can see this be me being, and I can see your be me being. We are actually looking at be me beings. Right, okay, Trevor, when you got pinned down, yeah. So yeah, I faced that full on, and that was the battle. I knew they were stopping me, but they made me really good at chess. I don't play chess, but they made me really good at chess. It's called angel chess. You're playing with an invisible force. Your higher spirit, your higher self is also playing an invisible game of chess as well. But the dark force is an amazing teacher, because even though they're stopping you, when you become clever in the game, which means you know their moves because they know your moves, you get clever in the game, that becomes the awakened master in oneself, and then so therefore you anticipate darkness's moves, and that's how it works. It's my birth year, 1999. All right, brilliant. Right, Despre, Seeker, we are not alone. God is in us all. Yes, right. This thing with the God thing, right? God. I don't kind of like the word because it's been taken, in a sense. But it's a word that humans have created in 3 letters that we tend to believe it creates this invisible thing, right? God created everything, right? So we just leave it there, right? You know, my God for me is intelligent consciousness. I just love that. I think it's nice. And I discovered that intelligent consciousness within me. And, you know, God is within us in a way that it's not because of scriptures and things like that. God is in you because everything in you is functioning and you haven't got to do anything about it. To me, that is God. To me, God is in my breath, and God will tell me when that breath's going to struggle and where that's going to end, and that's going to be it for me. I see God in every creature. I see the God of pure creation in everything. So everything out there was created by the oneness that we call God. Apparently it's got a man's name as well, but it's been created by God, right? But then you also have to look at the dinosaurs, right? They don't know about Jesus. They don't know about any spiritual scriptures and all the things. So who created that lot? So of course we say, well, the God created that lot, right? So, but when we look at everything, everything is defined by labels and identities. And so therefore the language is built upon 26 letters in the English language, right? We choose X amount of letters, we push them together and it creates a word. Then there's a subsection to what that word means, right? So that's how it works. So, but when you awaken, you will come away from labels. That's why I don't have a label, just to be me. So, and you will come away from separations. I don't know if I'm white, I don't know if I'm black, I don't know if I'm male or female. Because what I mean by that is, I've been told I'm a male. You've been told you're a female. Is that really so? I don't know. I'm told that's a monkey. Is it a monkey? I don't know. Is it really a monkey? No, of course it ain't a bloody monkey. We called it a monkey. And it looks like a monkey. No, it don't look like a monkey. It's because you've been fed to believe that it is a monkey. So we've used X amount of words out of an alphabet. We've called it a monkey, which meant one person, saw it and went, what should we call it? We'll call it monkey. And then the rest of the world call it a monkey. Of course, it's different in their language, but that's what we've got going on. But God for me was when there was no separation in any words. Birds wasn't called birds, ants, animals, insects wasn't called animals and insects, and grass and trees wasn't called grass and trees. I went on a real flippy one, which meant, you know, the sun is not the sun anymore, the moon's not the moon anymore. And it was a point for me where I thought, oh my God, I'm really going to go mad if this carries on, because I'm not going to be able to communicate with anyone because I've got completely different words for it all. But when you get to the fact that the God is in everything, well, it must be. But what the world has got us to believe is that we're separate from it, and we're not separate from it. And that is a big mission of the dark night of the soul, because you've been separated for so long. The dark night of the soul is to connect you back up, and then you get connected. And that's the enlightenment. That's the light bulb moment that you feel connected. So I don't use words to express a lot of things. I just see the beauty and the pure creation. And once I see that beauty and that pure creation, you have to understand that you are also beauty and pure creation with an intelligent consciousness that is running through your body and your mind, which produces an energy, which produces a frequency and a vibration. That's how we function, right? So yes, God is definitely within, and the kingdom of heaven within is that moment that you make peace with yourself, because you're not giving yourself such a hard time in this creation of God, let's say, and you understand that it is the creation, and you've come from a lineage of many, 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 many souls, and all we do is abuse it all, and we fuck it over left, right, and centre. But when you awaken and you've got the beam within, you understand that God within, that's the temple within, that's your own God within, that's the heaven within, because hell is the dark night of the soul. Living through just the normal activities of life can be hell. So if you're walking in the kingdom of hell because your temple is filled with poisonous words, then when you undo all of that and you become empty of that and you find that peacefulness, you get to the point where you go, now I understand what the kingdom of heaven actually feels like now. It's my kingdom of heaven versus my kingdom of hell. So yeah, I totally go with God is within us all the time. That's who you talk to. That soul of mine is connected to that. It knows where it's going. I don't know where it's going, but it knows where it's going. Desperate. It's normal to feel lonely at times. What I come to understand is that there are no good or bad feelings, just feelings. There are also teachers. They are also teachers. Yeah, they're teachers. Feelings are teachers. It's like an unseen tool that helps us understand ourselves. Yes, that's true. But then there's feelings and there's emotions, and they're two different things. Feelings is the real feeling of the essence of the core of who you are. The emotions that we sense, that we may feel, that's what's been given to us through our experiences that we call feelings. But when you get to the real core of a feeling, the feeling, the frequency and the vibration of you are, because there's no words now, that's the essence. So that's be my essence. That is the feeling. That is a real deep, subtle feeling that is buried amongst all of what we say is feelings. There is an even truer feeling to that as well. But yes, great teachers, that's why it's called intuition. Beamism for me was about discovering my inner teacher that was teaching me rather than killing me. Santos, I don't know. I don't know, I know. I don't know, I know, I don't, but I do, cannot explain or verify, but you know, don't matter if anyone believes your truth, it is your truth, you are more than your body. Yeah, we are definitely more than our body. Yes, it's your truth is your truth. If that's what you believe as being your truth, then great, that's fantastic, and that kind of works for you. But of course, we've got a lot of people that nobody's into someone else's truth. Nobody's even into someone else's religion. Nobody's, you know, I watch a football game. I don't watch a football game. I really don't watch a football game. But I know about football. But if I see, you know, a game, it's such a shame that we've got the players there. Somebody wins, somebody loses. That's the nature. Or there's a draw, right? But I also think that if the other side scores a goal, I think it deserves a clap because that was a really bloody good goal. I don't always think it's about the winning side as well, but then that's just me. That's not just normal, is it? But I used to clap to whoever lost anyway. I don't know. Right, yeah, but you are more than our body. We are more than the body. Oh, God, the body. I mean, it's just a word again, isn't it, really? I mean, what is your body? Well, it's full of light, really, because you've got 50 trillion cells, right? 50 trillion cells at 0.7 light in each of the 70 trillion cells, right? Times that by 0.07, which is the light that is emitted in every cell, and you've basically got an atom bomb. We are technically an atom bomb. That's what it means. The light is within you. We come from the light. We come from the darkness. It was a big bang and all this stuff that I don't know if we know or whatever it knows. But for me, I come from spirit. For me, I'm stardust. I'm a creation in matter, in stardust. And we are just incredible beings. And, you know, I don't go too far off on the spiritual thing. I like to keep it real. I like to keep mine functioning. I like it just to be me. It's funky, it's trendy, it's wearable, it's wannable, it's accessible. Said that quite well, didn't I? So that's what I love about being me. It just keeps you more than, because when was being us never good enough? When was your creation of you never good enough? It's only the human programming that says you're not good enough. Right. Come on, 8:30. The caves of treasure is dark at first until you lighten up with the light you carry. Yeah, take off the rucksack that's filled with bricks because you just don't need them anymore. There was a part in my journey where it was called let go of the coffee table. There was a part in my story that if you don't let go of the coffee table, we're not going any further. Because people are more protective over their coffee table, let's say. It can be any piece of furniture, but let's call it a coffee table for now. They paid a lot of money for it. Don't you dare put a hot cup of tea on there without some sort of cozy or protection on the bottom of it. I shall kill you. It's the coffee table. So I used to call it in the spiritual transformation when it used to say, let go of the bloody coffee table, will ya? It's worth nothing. It's worth nothing. Right, so the caves of treasures are within. Sensu, what is it that I understand so well you just make sense, but also I feel I know it. Yes, thank you for complaining. Yeah, right. Why is it that I understand so well you just make sense? Yeah, I make sense of something that is hard to make sense of. That's what you call, apparently somebody said to me, that's what you call a genius. When a genius makes sense of something that's so difficult, but he makes sense of it in a simple way. And that's what I feel I've done. I feel like I've taken all of this spiritual stuff that is so out there really that it's unattainable for the normal person, right? So, but for me, in three simple letters, I can explain everything that's hard to explain, but I can explain it in a very simple manner. And so therefore, let's say we don't know the art of relationships. We have no idea about relationships or doing. I got to that point where it's like, God, I need to know more about these relationships, because if not, I'm never going to understand relationships. So you find the wisdom in it. Same with depression, same with the dark night of the soul. I rewrote the whole thing. So I rewrote life, I rewrote the inner journey, and then I rewrote the Be Me story. So that's the 3 chapters of my life. So that's what it is. When somebody's talking the truth, when somebody has experienced what he's talking about, I can speak it so fluently. There's no, what's the word? I'm not quotes. There's no quotes. You never hear me quote anything. It comes from the truth, and I explain it as I could explain it in my everyday language as an East End Essex boy that only used that language to explain something that was bloody difficult to understand. And that's why I'm making it sound sense. Your soul is resonating and saying, that makes sense. It's just that I couldn't put it that way. So someone once said to me, Trev, you just put it in such a way that it makes sense. And they say, but I could never have done that. And I said, no, nor could I at the time. But because I know the story fluently, and I got out of the story, and I know that fluently, I can speak about that. Sometimes when you ask me a question, I have to use my mind to go back 20 odd years to kind of go back into that moment and pick up on that moment and be able to speak from that moment. Wow, so okay, I think I'm going to go soon. Oh, God, I just looked at the time, it's 2 hours gone. I used to do these shows all day long on TV. Right, I think I'm coming to the end here now. Laying down says Carmen. Seeker, I guess what I meant with my previous question is, if you feel motivated in the 3D world, I guess you are though. I really want to go back to feeling motivated in the real world. Oh, what are you calling the real world? Oh, you've got me there, or have I got you there? Because what's the real world? So that's the thing. What is the real world? You've got me going like that now. What is the real world that you want to feel motivated and to get back into? Do you know, I could have, do you know, in some sense for me to get back into that world in the sense where I left it, I would have got so motivated I would actually have put myself back in prison. That's what it means for me. I tricked myself and put myself back into prison. Right, yes, 2 hours, double E. Peace be with everyone. Right, after that little glitch that we had, that it went off, and somehow I managed to get it back on. Didn't know how, but I think everything went well. I think everything looks well. I think I've still got a little bit more planning to do with this, but I've only had it 3 days and I've done the best that I can, and it's all technical and it's great. Well, we've had some great chat on here tonight. Hopefully you've agreed, and I'm so pleased my children was on there. I didn't even tell them I was on there, so somehow they knew that I was on here tonight, and obviously they're putting the kids to bed and what have you, unless they're still watching still somewhere. But that really made my evening, I've got to say. I really love that. That's fantastic. Right, I think I've got through what I've gotten through. Oh no, still here, Dad. Love watching this video. All well so said, and love you lots. Right, brilliant. Okay, Shay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Lots of good vibes, everybody. Don't forget to thumbs up and chat. Yeah, please, because trust, I can only do these for so long before I get to a point where I go, you know what, I don't know where this is going, but maybe it's not going nowhere. And if it's not going nowhere, I can only do it for so long. So yeah, a thumbs up, a likes, or whatever it is, because the more people we can get connected to that are going through the normal shitty things called human life. They're going through things that are so normal in their life, but they don't see, or they don't know, or they don't understand that there is actually something more special that's attached to that. Because we're so led to believe that we're the human beings, and we'll suffer as the human being. But once we get to understand that there is a different answer, but that answer is given to us more from a soul level, or from an inner level, or from that spirit level, or from that awareness of enlightenment level, but most importantly, just on the beamy sort of level. So you can answer yourself in a different way compared to how the human self answers itself. And it's very difficult. I do get it, and I do understand. It is a part of a pathway for some, and it's not a pathway for others. It all depends when the time is right. When a person feels like that they need to do something, that they need to change something that they don't like about themselves, or would like to change something that they want to do something more within their life or within themselves, then anything and everything is so possible. So if anyone want to come through and have a chat with me, the emails are up on my site somewhere, and they're at the end of every video. So I do 90-minute Skype and stuff like that, but which is not expensive, and it's normally a really, really interesting chat. And it's the best thing, because I'm just dealing with texts here. But once we start talking on a very much an energetic level, you start to know me and I start to get to know you, which is great, isn't it? Because all you lot know me, but I don't know you. But I always used to say to people that I have spoken to, I feel that they're connected to me on a soul level, because other than that, they wouldn't have come through to me to have that meeting. Yes, it does cost. I don't think it's really expensive though. So if you send me an email, I'll send you the details. For what you get out of it, the knowledge, the wealth, the wisdom, the understanding, even somebody that's talking to you that knows you more than you know you, is, for me, over the years, I paid thousands to try and get somebody to understand what I was going through. No, none of that happened, you know, but yeah, it's my job. I try to be at my job. Not very successful, it seems, sometimes, but I just do what I can. Right, thanks, Trevor, and everyone here. Double E, glad we could be here. Much appreciated. Shayla Eyes, so nice to see people appreciating you and your advice you give. Very proud moment for me. Thanks, Shay. Yes, we'll stay in tune. I'll let you know next time we're doing a show. I could do them a little bit earlier because I know baby has to go to bed and what have you. But or maybe she's in bed and maybe you watch it now. But I'm sure Georgia would be really interested in watching me. I'm sure Arthur and Aston's a lot of watching me on here now. Just reminds you back on when I was on TV, doesn't it, really? So yeah, right, everybody. I'm going to find a way to stream off here now and get ready for your questions, and hopefully, possibly could be one tomorrow if I've got this ironed out a little bit more. I normally leave them every other day, but I might do one again tomorrow. So just keep tuned, and if we can do some more, then I'll get on and I'll do some more. But other than that, this is being me signing off, wishing you being you. And I will talk to you all very, very soon. Now, I don't know how to turn this off, but I'm just going to press this, and hopefully I shall catch you on the other side. Right, thank you Double E for looking after the chat. Thank you everyone for being in the chat, and we'll catch up really soon. All right, speak to you.